Good morning, everyone. Today is the last of our series of coffee mornings that we have organized in honor of Infant and Pregnancy Loss Awareness Month. And we've seen some fantastic modalities, some fantastic practitioners, all very different, all cut from a different cloth, as I like to say. But I hope this is going to be a brilliant resource. And I can't thank Lana enough, actually, for kicking me into gear and, helping me organize this series of coffee mornings and sharing circles and so on. It's been a wonderful month, and it's crazy to think that it's over. But today we're concluding with two fabulous practitioners who are very experienced in this area. We've got Linda Van Laer is an amazing counselor at Alliance Counselling. She is a fellow doula, or used to be, and therefore has a lot of experience with fertility and pregnancy and childbirth, not to speak of her own 4 children. And she is really specializing in trauma care, in grief, and really well prepared to support you in this journey. We'll hear more from her in a minute, and I'll let you introduce yourself as well. And then we'll hear from Lana. Lana has been, here for all of the circles and all of the coffee mornings. She's a lost mama herself. She's she is a coach, a life coach, academic coach, grief and loss coach. And so she will be able to speak to you to the modality of coaching, which is very different from counseling, although some people might not understand the difference or not know of the different modalities. So we'll try and shed some light on that today. So without further ado, we will get Linda to introduce herself, and then I'll start sharing. Oh, would you like me to start sharing now, the presentation?
Yeah, we could start sharing. That would be a good moment. Okay. And thank you for doing this for me. Yeah, first of all, I want to thank you, Johanna, and Lana as well for this important initiative. Knowing that pregnancy loss and infant loss is actually more common than we might think, and that you've done such a great job to build this community of support for so many people who might be going through it all by themselves. Yeah. So to introduce myself on the next slide, you can see.
Okay.
Yeah. So a bit about me. So I am originally from the Netherlands. I've been living in Singapore for more than 23 years now. It really has become my home, where I had my family, where I built my career in helping parents and parents-to-be. So I am a counselor with Alliance Counselling. It's a big group practice with all kinds of different specialisms in it. So I specialize in pre- and postnatal mental health, also fertility counseling, and it also involves a lot of grief counseling, for which I've had extensive training. So before I became a counselor years ago, I was a birth doula for over 10 years here in Singapore. And, I have fond memories of working with you, Johanna, and supporting parents together. Yeah.
And I think that makes such a difference as well. And I also said when we announced the coffee morning for today is, even though we're talking about grief, even though we're talking about loss, you can also see these practitioners for other points in your journey. And I know a lot of moms who've had difficult births, that they find it really hard to process. Birth trauma is very prevalent, unfortunately, due to a variety of reasons to go into. But Linda would be such a good person for you to walk alongside in this journey of moving on and maybe preparing for another baby as well, and so on. So,
yeah, thank you. And it is, really important to look at these modalities and things that I'm able to do for parents. Maybe, you're going through a loss or have gone through a loss, or maybe a loved one has, and you're trying to get some more understanding. But also some of the topics that I'm bringing up might, be relevant if you're trying really hard to have a baby, or if you have a lot of anxiety, if you've had a difficult experience becoming a parent and there's some trauma there. So yeah, but a big mainstay of counseling after a loss is grief counseling. And, unless you've gone through it, there's, and even if you have gone through it, it might not really be clear what that might be like. Yeah, we don't quite know what to expect. So you may have heard about such things as, the stages of grief, denial, anger, depression or feeling low, bargaining, like if only I would have, and then moving towards acceptance. This makes it sound really linear. It makes it sound almost like there's a roadmap that we have to complete. But, the reality that, a lot of clients tell me about is it's much more like the second picture where it just jumps around. Yeah. So these are, rather than stages of grief, these are phases of grief. And in a given day, different phases might show up. Like I might start with anger in the morning, and then I might feel really low in the afternoon, and then I might pick myself up again. And, it's quite unpredictable. It's not linear. It's not sequential. And also there are no shoulds. Yeah. So a lot of people may have some cultural understanding or beliefs around what grief and loss is about. Yeah, I know that, for instance, many cultures may have a lot of stigma surrounding the loss of a pregnancy, the loss of a baby, that is all kind of hushed. And, that might put some pressure on you to grieve a certain way, and that might not gel with how you're actually feeling, what you're actually experiencing. So there are no shoots. There is just the way that you go through your experience. Yeah. So now going to the next slide. Yeah. So understanding that grief is such a highly individual process. So your experience will look so different even from your partner's. Yeah. So your partner may have gone through the exact same loss right alongside you, and still on a day-to-day basis, you might be not on the same wavelength at all. Your grief might look so different. Also, if people that have also gone through a loss, there might be maybe some similarities as what that grief might be about, but it could also look entirely different. Yeah. Some people may have had losses before, or may have lost other loved ones, and may have a sense of how they deal with a loss. And even then, I hear from so many people that, going through a loss after a miscarriage, a stillbirth, and losing an infant, that this might still be very different and very surprising in many ways. Now, grief is, while it's a natural reaction to a huge life event, but that doesn't mean it's easy. Yeah, so grief doesn't need fixing, but it needs certain things for it to unfold, in a healthier way. So grief cannot be rushed. You might feel like, I want to fast forward through this difficult period, but grief really needs to take its own time, needs to take its own pacing. There are unfortunately no shortcuts that we can offer. Even in counseling, I can't magically give you a shortcut out of the pain. So it really does need that time. And you can see that people struggle when they feel they are rushed. Like, I'm expected to be back in the office, or my family expects me at this family event, but my cousin is pregnant, I can't face her. Yeah, you might feel like rushed or pressured into grieving faster than your experience is unfolding. So also, grief needs that safe space where you can, from time to time, give into the feelings that come up. Yeah. So if you have maybe older children around, or a lot of family, you might put on that brave face, and your grief kind of gets suppressed. It doesn't have any place to go. And grief can be really overwhelming as well. So a lot of people are surprised to realize that grief doesn't need to be a 24-hour job. Yeah. And in the beginning, it might be that all of your time, everything is surrounding that grief. But there might be moments of, of lightness, of lightheartedness, moments of joy even. And people who might experience that often say, well, that feels wrong. Why am I smiling? I just lost my baby. Yeah. But, you can't grieve 24/7. That's unsustainable. Yeah. And sustaining yourself through this process is really important, that you take breaks from it to look after yourself. with the absolute basics, like, making sure you eat, making sure you hydrate, that you get enough rest, that, there are maybe other areas of your life that you can lean on. Yeah, some people actually find it comforting to be back in the office where, I look around and everything is still where I expect it to be. Yeah, this part of my life hasn't turned upside down. So you can see people deriving comfort from that maybe, and loved ones around you. It's okay to be picky as to initially, like, who do you tell about your loss? Yeah, so feel free to pick those loved ones that can give you useful support, that are able to take instructions from you as well as to what you need. Yeah, some days you need to talk about the loss. Other days you need distraction, and you need somebody who can take your instructions and your cues very well. And then gradually, maybe it becomes easier to just notice that ever-changing face of your grief and to just be attuned with whatever needs come up. Yeah.
Amazing. If I can just throw in here, mummies on the call, feel free to ask your questions in the chat. We're happy for you to speak up and speak to Linda and Lana later as well. I forgot to welcome you appropriately and give instructions. I'm sorry about that.
Yeah. So also, for many people, so a lot of people who come to see me after a loss, they are still on a journey where they are longing to have a baby. And, while the grief continues, their journey to try to have a baby also still continues. And I would like to dispel a myth that I see is really common and really stubborn, that myth that, oh, I need to first be fully over my loss before I am allowed to try again for another baby. And that is impossible. Anyone who's gone through a loss knows that, well, when will you ever fully complete a loss? It's not like I've done all the steps, I get the certificate of completion, and now I'm allowed to do the next step. So these are really processes that are, concurrent. Yeah, you will still be grieving, but it's up to you. Nobody gets to judge whether you're ready to move on with your conception journey, for instance. That is fully, you're the only one who is able to tell whether you have the space to also work on that journey. So I noticed a lot of women feel a lot of pressure, like, why is my grief going so slow? I'm afraid that my doctor will not let me try again. Once again, this is in your hands. Yeah, so the physical journey and the emotional journey are separate. Yeah, the doctor may have opinions about your physical journey. It's up to you whether you can find that space to continue with your conception journey as well. Talking about, reclaiming or reconnecting with your body. And this, Johanna, is where I am so happy that, you also in earlier weeks showed some other modalities that help, with the physical recovery. Yeah, because our bodies are our partners that travel through the entire experience with us. Everything, our entire story is somehow captured in our bodies. And while we might become aware of that in counseling, that is not something I can treat, which is why it is so wonderful that there are also many other modalities of support and care where you can reach out to help you with, the healing of your body, slowly reconnecting with your body as well. Your body may have been traumatized. Your body is healing. Your body feels the sadness, and you're doing this together. Yeah, and then for a lot of couples, grieving together, it's already so hard to connect over that because, your grief might look so different, and you're trying to figure out how to communicate that. To then also both feel there's that pressure to start trying to make a baby. Yeah, that is a huge leap for some couples. And, maybe take your time and break that up in steps that you deserve to reconnect to each other again first. And, repairing that connection and making it about the sensuality, the closeness between you two. That, can we first find a way to make love before we try to make a baby? And that is, that's a big hurdle for some, so take your time with that as well. then it's important as well to separate those stories. A lot of moms feel that, they conflate the new conception journey with the loss that they have gone through, and continuously confronted with anxiety, like, oh, that's the same as when I lost my baby. That can be really, really difficult, but take your time with that as well to realize these are two separate stories. That was that pregnancy, that baby. And, now I'm on a new journey. And, each embryo that wants to show up in your life is going to want its own turn. Like, please let me have my turn. I want to do my best. I want to do my best to grow and try to be there. So, to make space for that, this embryo deserves a turn, and, it might go well. And we may just have to take it a day at a time. Yeah. Anticipation is a huge, big load. Yeah. If you have to anticipate so many months in advance, everything you might go through, time will pass on its own. So just trying to take it a day at a time, maybe interspersing that with things that you can look forward to, like seeing loved ones, going on nice outings, maybe going on a holiday. Yeah. Losses are sometimes a milestone or a waypoint for people to decide that maybe they need some medical help as well with their conception. So for some, they might be on that fertility journey, yeah. So where they might need that medical help to try to become pregnant. And then there's different cycles with medications or stimulation. And just like you can take a day at a time, you can also see it as I take one cycle at a time. And that you can decide for each cycle, what do I need? What does this cycle need to be about? Being very careful about your pacing. Like, sometimes you want to speed things up, and then, please, the doctor, can they help you to speed the process along for this cycle? And maybe sometimes you feel overwhelmed, or the pacing is too high, or you just need to take more of a break or a slower pace. And that is fine too, to just really take that moment by moment, day by day, cycle by cycle. It can be very empowering to make changes. Yeah, a lot of people might choose, well, I'd rather, after this loss and after the journey so far, I'd rather see some new faces in front of me. I'd rather add different people onto my team of support. Yeah, so these are changes that can feel really empowering, a breath of fresh air. And also that sense that while we can't control everything, there are things that we can control.
Yeah. I love what you said about separating the stories, because we want, on the one hand, we really want to enjoy this new pregnancy. That doesn't negate that we're still grieving for another. And
exactly. Yeah. And that feels so mixed that doesn't, since it doesn't rhyme. Yeah. Your grief and your joyful anticipation don't rhyme. And it feels so conflicting that a lot of people don't know that, yes, you can hold both of them. This can be a bag of mixed feelings. Yeah, it is so normal. It is so natural. It just means that you will need more space. If you are living two different stories at the same time, you'll just need more space.
Yeah, and I think we saw that in the sharing circles, Lana, as well, didn't we? If we were waiting until our grief was over, we would never conceive again, I think, because
exactly. Yeah,
absolutely.
Years ago, so.
We actually have a question in the chat. Sharon is asking, how do we continually stay afloat while trying again? It can be okay some days and very difficult and emotional other days. When your period arrives, time passes and feels the cycle after cycle of disappointment.
Yeah. And then, each cycle where, you don't have a pregnancy, where, your period arrives, that is once again, that is more grief. Once again, you will need the space and the time to give all of that some space. Maybe having something planned to it might sound like a superficial distraction, but like a pick me up, to really rest and recover. And then, okay, what are your decisions for the next cycle? Once again, it's just one cycle at a time. You have a chance every month, but we also don't have full control. Yeah, and I understand that is really difficult, that pressure. make sure you have that buffer, that's the system around it, that we can't avoid that pain, but is there any way that we can make it more comfortable? Anything at all that you can do, people around you, you know, leaning on other areas of your life that do seem like, okay, this bit of my life is going well. Yeah, but I acknowledge that is super, super hard to do as well. So please just be gentle with yourself and take it a day at a time, take it a cycle at a time. Yeah.
Thank you, Linda. I've moved on to the next.
Yeah, thank you. So this might not always be the case, but, you know, after a pregnancy loss, infant loss, termination, a D&C procedure, you might, as a result, have a trauma experience. Yeah. So when we experience something that is really, really difficult, very overwhelming, our survival mode is activated, and you know, our brain, our nervous system redirects all the energy towards, you know, we just need to get through this situation. You know, your fight or flight mode is activated. And, you know, your brain now also wants to make sure that, you know, whatever it may cost, I do not want to see myself in that situation again. Everything is geared towards survival. So you can then get stuck with things like this. Like, it doesn't need to be full-blown PTSD, but there could be trauma present. There could be a lot of anxiety, worry, hypervigilance. And these are all very overwhelming processes, but they are just trying to get you to survive any difficulties that come along. And, you know, traumatic experience, you know, if you listen to people's stories, or if you think about your own experiences, there might be elements present in your story, such as, you know, that perception of danger. Yeah. And mortal danger. Yeah. My baby died. That is like the highest form of mortal danger that you can have, is my offspring died, didn't make it. Yeah. There might be that sense of helplessness, powerlessness. There might be a sense of feeling really isolated. Also in a way, like, I'm so responsible. This is my baby. I was supposed to look out for my baby, and I couldn't do that. Yeah. And this is why it's also so important that, you know, the way that you, Johanna, and Sylvia in a session a few weeks ago, pointing out what doulas might be able to do if you do have to go in to give birth to your baby, or if you go in for a D&C procedure or a termination, you know, because a doula being present with you and your partner can already support you to prevent some of those things. Like, you know, there's a sense of safety as much as we can make it. It combats that feeling of helplessness or powerlessness, or there's nothing I can do, and I'm not alone. There's somebody there that cares about me. So this is, you can see now why that is so important. That if you do manage, if there's some option for you to have a doula present, to maybe consider that, because it could make a difference in how your really intense story is unfolding. Yeah. So symptoms that you might want to look out for is things like flashbacks or really intrusive memories of the events. Yeah, having to relive it over and over and not being able to do anything about that. Emotionally, it could go one of either way, or sometimes a mix of that. You might have really intense emotions like anxiety, panic attacks, really big sadness. But on the other hand as well, you know, trauma in an attempt to protect you and help you survive might make you feel really detached from a situation, very, very numb. Mm-hmm. This is really devastating. Also, for instance, if you try to interact with your family, maybe if you have other children, that, you know, you feel so completely detached from them that this is really difficult for your functioning. And we do know that some trauma will resolve on its own over time, but, you know, you deserve that time. You don't deserve to have to wait it out to see if it will pass. Yeah. So if you do notice that these overwhelming things are happening to you and are tripping you up or hindering your functioning, then please do reach out to a professional who can help you with this. I think a lot of people who have gone through a pregnancy loss and infant loss can also say that anxiety might show up in the story that comes after. Yeah, the conception journey, any next pregnancy, a next baby that is born. That, you know, a lot of that process is wrapped up in that anxiety. I'm always worried about my baby. Is my baby getting sick? Very vigilant, wanting to get everything perfect for your baby. This is so very, very common. And it could well be that I don't see a mother who has lost a baby until she might have her next baby and is experiencing such debilitating anxiety.
Wow, yeah, I can
These are
imagine.
things to, yeah, if anything is tripping you up, getting in the way of you living your life, do consider reaching out. Yeah.
Yeah.
So when to seek help? So here are maybe some things to look out for. Like I said, so grief is a process that might be all over the place. But in some cases, people might notice they're stuck with some really difficult part of their grief for a long time. Yeah, a typical one would be self-blame, where, you know, nothing in my grief is moving, none of the other faces are showing up. I'm just living my life, just blaming myself here, and I'm so stuck with that. Yeah, so that would be an indicator to maybe go talk to a counselor. Grief can also cause difficulties in your relationship. Yeah, if you have such a hard time understanding yourself and each other going through this grief, you know, a lot of partners might feel really cut off from each other. So it's important to have a third party to talk about that and to find that the tools and the communication skills to overcome that. Difficulty coping. We know that grief is overwhelming, especially in the beginning, but the fact that it's normal doesn't mean you should just have to struggle through it on your own. If at any moment you think this is just so hard for me to cope with, reach out, yeah, to a counselor or any of the other modalities that are out there to support you. Be aware if you do have existing or previous mental health conditions. For instance, if you know that you are quite prone to anxiety or depression, or maybe you have had a loss before, please just take good care of yourself and be mindful that, you know, some of your challenges may be aggravated by having to go through this loss and this grief. As mentioned before, the anxiety, the trauma, and also if you notice that the grief has an impact on your continued conception journey, or, you know, during your next pregnancy. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So the next slide will tell you a bit like what to expect. Like, I know that some people might feel a bit reluctant about, you know, do I need a counselor? Would that help? Maybe I've tried counseling before, but I'm not sure it works for me. And counseling might not be for everybody, but it could also be a matter of maybe the counselor just did not click with you personally, because we're all very different. Also, in terms of accessibility, I know that private practice, you know, this being Singapore and companies having to pay the rent and everything, that, you know, it can seem very daunting to have to pay for counseling. Sometimes your insurance will cover it. Some employers have, you know, they set aside a budget for their employees to see counseling. But also in Singapore, the public system has a lot of resources for people that have gone through a loss. So you could, if you feel you're struggling, you could talk to your obstetrician, or even, you know, go to your GP or a polyclinic. And I do know that KK Hospital and NUH, they have entire departments where you will find support that is accessible to you. So please don't feel stuck or think that this is not something that you can access.
Yeah, I'm really that, because there's often a conception that this is only for the rich, and, you know, we've gone through, we've had this procedure, we're looking at multiple, you know, a lot of money conceiving again.
Yeah.
It was so expensive as well. So
and I'm still hoping for coverage in healthcare to get better at this, because this is not a luxury. Yeah, this is a healthcare need, and I'm glad the public system has options, but, you know, the accessibility should be even better. Yeah. So when you do decide to see a counselor, to keep in mind that, you know, losing a baby, that is a very vulnerable event in your life, and that maybe not every counselor or therapist is equipped to help you with that. Yeah, maybe you've seen a counselor before that was wonderful to help you with some work stress, for instance, but they may not be the one who can help you process the grief, the trauma, and understand what this means for you in terms of, you know, your longing for a baby. Yeah, so look for somebody who is at the very least trained in grief counseling and trauma therapy. Preferably also is you know, knowledgeable about pre and postnatal mental health. I'm by no means the only person in Singapore who can do this. Yeah, so there are many other counselors who have training to support you in this. What you can expect out of a counselor is that they will give you compassionate and non-judgmental listening. Yeah, they will receive your story without inserting themselves into it. Also, grief is not something that needs fixing. There's nothing wrong with you. You lost a baby, and that is really overwhelming. So you don't need to be fixed in any way. You just deserve a lot of support. Counseling can help you to understand what you're going through, and, you know, where applicable, you know, sometimes I see two partners together so that, you know, you can also understand, you know, where is this different? Do we have different needs or different experiences with this? A counselor can help you to overcome anxiety and trauma, as mentioned before. And also there's a big hurdle or myth that I also want to dispel, you know, that a lot of people think, oh, I'm going to see a counselor and they're going to ask me to tell my entire story with all the painful details, and, you know, somehow I'm going to have a really big cry about it, and then somehow it should be better. And, you know, just be careful, because that is not productive, and a well-trained counselor would not make you do that, because, you know, it's not just the catharsis that will make you better. It's up to you to indicate, what are you comfortable sharing? What do you want to touch on? If there is any kind of retelling of your story, reliving of your story, your counselor should partner you in that, like really helping you alongside telling your story, that you're able to build tools, rebuild your sense of safety, build your healing. And also there are therapy modalities such as EMDR, which can help your brain to reprocess. Like it's not like you will forget what happened, but rather than the trauma being an obstacle, your brain finally gets the chance to process and file it away, yeah, in your database here.
Amazing.
Yeah. So no recounting or retelling just for the heck of it. Yeah.
We have a question in the chat as well. After having an unplanned pregnancy which ended in a miscarriage, I have a strong longing for a second baby, which was not in our family.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
My husband is not keen on another baby, and I'm not sure if this longing is a real want or if it's part of a grieving process, and I don't know what to do with this feeling.
Yeah, and that is quite common, you know, that maybe, you know, it stirs up different meanings, or it is a change in your story. And you're also pointing out how this can be so different for both partners. Yeah, you might see this sometimes as a part of a conception journey, where maybe we were seeing a doctor trying IVF, and there is a loss, and one partner might be doubling down, like I really want a baby, and the other partner might see that loss and say, well, this is my sign to say it's been enough for me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah? And you might need that sounding board of a counselor to work that one out, but you could also, you know, start for yourself to see what that means. Addressing your own grief first to see, does that change the story? Does it change the longing that has suddenly shown up? Yeah, this is really common, and thank you for that question. And you're not the first, and you're not the only one to experience this. Yeah, it's quite common. Yeah. So yeah, that's it for me. So here's where you can contact me, and I welcome you reaching out with any questions. I hope this has given you a better understanding what you or maybe a loved one might be going through. and also how maybe counseling can contribute to your support system. Yeah, so thank you.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Linda. I've left the slide up a little bit longer so people can take notes if they're watching this at a later stage. But we will be posting all these resources and your contacts, obviously, under the video as well. And I was just thinking, as we were going through this, we should be coming up with a sheet of all the contacts of the different modalities that we've introduced, different practitioners offering that, because as Linda said, it's not just one person, you know, you might be, and it's a very personal thing, counseling is, isn't it? Because I need to really feel that I connect with this person, that I feel really, really safe telling my story or not, but just feel that I'm in good hands and that this is the person for me. So very, very personal. Okay, we'll move on. Lana, if you're ready to share yours.
Great. No, thank you. Thank you, Linda. That was really great. And as you said, there's so many, so many aspects of grief, as you mentioned, and it's never linear. So today I wanted to touch on coaching for pregnancy and infant loss. I'm Lana. I'm a certified coach and also the founder of the Path to Motherhood. I know a lot of you probably watching here are more familiar with life and executive coaching, but coaching also has other specialized branches, which are equally impactful. So for me, I specialize, as Johanna mentioned, in academic and kid coaching, working with preteens, teenagers, university students and graduates, but also I'm also a grief and life coach, not working with women who, and also fathers, I'd say, who have lost, and also women struggling with fertility, who have suffered traumatic births, and also for women who are trying as well to have another baby after trauma and also loss. I have a deep personal connection with this experience. As Johanna mentioned, I'm also a lost mama, and I lost my son at 38 weeks. And coaching played a pivotal role in that, in navigating my loss. And it had such a great impact on me that I'm dedicated in supporting women who have suffered pregnancy and infant loss similar to mine. So today I wanted to invite you to explore the transformative power that is coaching. Coaching is not just a professional relationship, I'd start to say. I like to think of it as a more dynamic and collaborative relationship between the coach and an individual, who we also sometimes refer to as the coachee. And its purpose is to unlock one's potential, nurture personal growth, and inspire a journey towards flourishing. At its core, I'd say coaching is designed to assist individuals in setting and achieving personal and wellness goals. It's a dynamic partnership to work together to help them to create and develop and execute strategies to reach these objectives. Coaching plays a very pivotal role in unleashing the untapped potential that is within all of us. And so I think it's mostly about empowering individuals to be the best versions of themselves. And what a coach does is help you, support you on that journey. Now, moving on to grief coaching. Grief coaching specifically offers invaluable assistance to those grappling with intricate web of emotions and obviously the difficulty that comes through loss and through grief. It provides, as Linda had also mentioned, guidance and unwavering support and practical strategies, but not only to cope with your grief, but to pave the path forward in your life. Grief, as we just heard from Linda also explained, it's a complex emotional journey. It's often accompanied by a range of emotions, and the challenges that come with that can be really insurmountable, especially at the beginning stages of grief. But within this darkness, trust me, there is hope, as I myself has experienced. And this is when a grief and life coaching comes into play. It recognizes that grief is multifaceted. It's a unique experience for each individual, and it offers a toolkit for individuals to process their grief in order to heal and ultimately embrace this new chapter of their life. It's really about, I would say, helping people find hope and strength amidst the most challenging processes that they're going through in life. I like to kind of think as coaches in this field like anchors in a storm that ultimately help their coachee find their way to calmer shores. So I'm very much into metaphors, so I like to look at it that way. The primary role of coaching is really to create an empathetic and a safe environment for clients. The journey through grief, as we all know and we've heard, is can be very turbulent and obviously marked by extreme emotions. And during our coaching sessions, especially, grief coaches are trained and also equipped to provide the necessary support. It's not only about addressing grief itself, but it's helping the individuals navigate deeper, sometimes unspoken questions that you might be having about yourself. So for example, I had a client recently that asked me if their own sense of self could be a source of grief. And I really found this a profound question, because I think grief often triggers a transformation of one's identity. And coaches in such cases would really offer vital support needed to guide an individual in redefining, exploring, and anchoring themselves in this new identity, which I think is truly empowering, personally for me. And here are some other benefits of grief and life coaching. So grief coaching will definitely offer you a safe space, as we mentioned, an empathetic space to express your feelings and find comfort during these difficult times. It provides clarity and perspective. During times of grief, clients, obviously, as we saw in Linda's slide, have so many ranges of emotions that go through them. And so it helps you gain insight into your grief and foster a balanced perspective. Also, through coaching sessions, we're able to explore different strategies that help you manage grief-related stress, anxiety, and depression, and enhance your emotional resilience. Improve relationships as well. Obviously, when you're in the midst of grief, sometimes your relationship with your friends and your family could really alter. And it facilitates better communication and connection with your loved ones, guiding adaptation and changes in relation to post-loss. And also life transitions. There are times where you're not only experiencing grief, but you're also experiencing what could be a divorce or could be a job loss at the same time. And having a coach there to support you, you're able to more, adapt to this better. And I'd say as well, the personal growth part of it is one of the most important elements of coaching. The journey helps you to uncover personal strengths, resilience, and a new sense of purpose in promoting your own personal growth. Goal setting, which is a key practice of coaching, is when you're dealing with grief, coaches assist you in setting meaningful and attainable goals, which ignite a sense of motivation. And that's what it is about coaching. It's about moving forward, paving the way forward with your life. Self-care, emphasizing the importance of your own self-care, but more importantly, self-compassion. This is an essential component of healing and a forward journey. And this is where I'll also stop to say that coaching obviously has a part in it, but obviously, like what we had seen in previous coffee mornings, all the other modalities here, Reiki, body talk, TCM, osteopath, even a loss doula could really help during these moments to provide that self-care and also those, that self-compassion that you need to yourself. So definitely reach out to that as well. Accountability is also a key to coaching sessions. It ensures that you stay committed to your goals and is emphasized in each session. So a coach will really push this, during our sessions to hold you accountable, to make sure that you're moving forward with your goals. And the last two, empowerment and resilience, I'd say are one of the most important with coaching. Coaching empowers you to seize control of your life and make choices that align with your values and aspirations. And resilience. Through this process, you often develop increased resilience, enabling you to rebound from adversity and also derive meaning through your grief experiences.
Thank you, Lana. I would like to ask at this point, for our moms watching this, or maybe or parents watching this at a later stage as well, what is the difference between counseling and coaching? Like, does one is it the same? Is it a different modality for different people? Does some sort of counseling need to happen before we can move on to coaching? I liked how you said, the coaching is very much the moving forward. Can we then say that counseling is the dealing with the grief, and then coaching takes you further?
That's great. Actually, I'm just about to answer that question for you. So when am I ready for coaching is really the ultimate question. And I think this question speaks to the heart of the matter. Really, when you're in the deep throes of pain, the idea of moving forward and, setting those goals can really seem impossible at that stage. So that's when coaching steps in, I feel. I feel it's essential to recognize and a client to be ready, to be able to say that I desire to take that step forward. And I think that's when coaching comes into play. And of course, at the beginning of grief, especially when it's just happened. I would say coaching possibly is not maybe the right thing to do at that time, because you're in the real storm of your grief. And maybe that's the place where you would seek a counselor who's more inept to like work with trauma, and and for you to find out more about your emotions that are happening in your time. Coaching is more at that level when you've kind of had that time to process your grief, kind of understand, what has happened, to be able to process what is, the loss, grieve the loss as well, and be at that time ready to say, okay, now I'm ready to move forward in my life. I need to find a way to move past my grief. And I think that's ultimately the time where, to seek more advice from a coach, or, seek the support of a coach, I'd say.
Yeah, that's amazing.
So, and I always tell my clients, coaching is no magic cure. It's really not, but it's rather a powerful tool to assist those who are willing to stand up and face their challenges. It's about taking that first courageous step and acknowledging that there is still pain, but saying to yourself that I'm ready to move forward. Mm-hmm. That's what I'd say it is. Yeah.
Excuse Lana.
Me, everyone. I have a little bit of a cough today.
Getting over a big cold, so excuse the voice at the moment. But we heard you
exactly. I'm just gonna suck on a lozenge right now. So at this point, I like to use a very powerful metaphor to help a person really understand if they're ready for coaching. So I'd like to invite you today, for those of you watching, go with me here. Close your eyes. Close your eyes at this point. Imagine grief as a vast deep hole that you see here, left behind by the presence that went away. Losing someone or something you weren't prepared to lose is undeniably challenging. This hole in your life is empty, painful, and rebuilding around it almost seems impossible, stirring a whirlwind of emotions. In the early stages of grief, we often find ourselves sitting at the bottom of this hole. We feel hopeless, questioning how we can ever regain what's been lost. But yet continuing to sit in that hole doesn't change anything. It leaves us stuck at the bottom. We can't force this hole to close or make it shrink. It's simply there. It's a permanent part of our lives. Sometimes the first step of climbing out of the hole is accepting its presence. We recognize that it's now part of our lives. With acceptance comes the realization that this is a hole we can climb out of, that we can't remain here forever. And that's when slowly we start to climb our way out. This forward-looking stance is what helps us heal. It's what allows us to relook at this new world and adapt to it, because we are still in a world, after all, that that we have things to do here. So you may open your eyes now for those who have closed. So the most important thing to ask yourself, if you're thinking about, am I ready for coaching, is what is it you have to do? Moving forward is about searching deeply about yourself. And some days we may return to that hole. That's fine. That's the process of grief. It's about going back and moving forward. And we move between these two stages. But I think the most important thing is that you have a desire that you want to move forward. And that's where coaching really comes into play. Yeah. Does anyone have any questions at this point?
Feel free to put them in the chat. I'm happy to read them out if you can't, but you're also very welcome to unmute yourself at this stage as well.
So I'll move on as well, just so we can continue. I can answer questions later. So I think it's also really important to understand what grief coaching is and isn't. I'd say, number one, it's empowering through non-judgment. Grief coaching does not aim to change what a person feels. Instead, its aim is to empower clients by creating a non-judgmental space and providing them unconditional supportive space for them to navigate their grief. An acceptance of emotional experience. Trying to change a personal emotional experience is not the goal of grief coaching. It's about accepting the experience as it is. People dealing with loss often find it challenging also to articulate themselves, and coaches assist in facilitating these difficult conversations and coping with what's going to be coming next. And most important, I think, it's the presence and support. A coach is present for their client, offering support without the feeling of, they're being rescued. It's about coaching their thinking process rather than focusing only about death and grief itself, and also moving forward. And sorry, I just realized I missed a slide as well on the benefits of grief coaching. So as we said, sorry, I did mention that, sorry.
Right.
And from my own personal experience, I'd say to conclude, like any form of coaching, providing invaluable support and guidance to empower individuals to find strength and hope, even in the face of the most challenging times. I'd say in my own experience, coaching showed me an immense value, as it offered, it offered this support and space during the most challenging, I'd say, hardest parts of my life. After I lost my son, my coach really provided me with this unwavering support and, presence that I needed. She was really a lifeline for me. I really learned the power of being present for someone. And I think that's what's the amazing part about coaching. It doesn't end at just the session that you have. My coach would always touch base with me over WhatsApp. I probably sometimes wouldn't even see her, for a few weeks because I wasn't feeling strong enough to have a coaching session. But she was always present. She was always there to WhatsApp me and make sure that, even if you're not ready, I'm there. And I think that's also what was really invaluable for me. I knew someone was always there for me. My coach, she's helped me, she stood by me, helping me see a way forward. Especially, I'd say, when I was trying to get pregnant, I really struggled with fertility after the loss of my son. And then finally, when I was able to get pregnant with my daughter, and then my son after that, obviously the pregnancies were extremely stressful for me. And to see those 9 months going forward just seemed like an incredible amount of stress and, and anxiety that was erupting. And during that course, we worked again on redesigning our alliance together to be able to come collaboratively together to work on strategies to help me cope through that process as well as I was going through that. And I think what was amazing with it is that I learned so much from that process that even today, when I'm suffering from anxiety, as like Linda said, I'm one of those mothers who are kind of like a helicopter mother after, going through that type of loss. And, I'm sometimes having a lot of anxiety. My daughter was sick this week and I was catastrophizing like crazy oh, she's so sick, she's got a high fever. But I can always go back to those strategies I learned through my coaching to be able to support me. So I think that's also the powerful thing about coaching. It doesn't end only in the session. You learn all these strategies to take you more forward into life, and it's always useful. There's always a toolkit, there's always a worksheet that is provided with coaching that you can always refer back to be able to help you through new challenges that you face through life. So I would really encourage anyone, wanting to explore it, if regardless if you've gone through loss or not, to simply just, find out more about coaching. I really truly believe in the power of coaching, so much so that I personally changed my career for it, because I think it should be accessible to everyone. To feel that sense of empowerment, to feel that sense of self-awareness, to be able to know that you are in control of your life, that you are the master of your ship, that you are capable to push yourself forward, I think is the most empowering thing about it. And yeah, I know we have a lack of time today, but I do offer a free discovery call, a 30-minute one, basically to explore a little bit more of like what a coaching session would be. I know I get that a lot from clients, but what can I expect from a coaching session? How would it be? What would we be talking about? And I would say that coaching is very tailored. It's a very tailored thing. So it's important to be able to meet your coach and to understand the energy between them. I think, like Linda said as well, I think it's deeply personal. So the energy that you're connecting with your coach or even a counselor is really important, because this is the person that's going to be supporting moving along. So as we conclude this coffee morning talk, firstly, I wanted to thank Johanna for really opening this space up for, spreading awareness for this campaign. I know I approached you a few months ago wanting to, do more for women who have lost. And I'm glad that, we've made this dream alive for this 1 month, to have dedicated this entire month to infant and pregnancy loss awareness. And, to all the practitioners, Linda as well, thank you so much for, supporting us and, giving us your valuable time to share your knowledge and information on how to better support women, and most importantly, to educate others as well. I think as a community at large, it's really imperative to understand what a woman who has gone through loss, or a family that has gone through loss, is going through, and to find better ways to support them. So firstly, I would like to share that, that at our Sharing Circle event, we had such positive feedback. And firstly, thank you to all the incredible women who, who came for this event. You were also remarkably brave and strong. And I was really honored to coach you and to introduce a little bit of the strategies and, help that coaching could provide for you. But also what was important was that we were able to heal and to grow together collaboratively. I love that word, but I can't say it properly. The feedback that we got was that they found it tremendously supportive and helpful to connect with others who've experienced loss, regardless of when that loss occurred. So we had a lot of moms that came, that were at different stages of loss, but also had different experience of loss. But what I thought was so powerful was that each one was able to connect, regardless of where they were in that lost journey. And as this event was so successful, and also because we think that it's so valuable to be able to provide more support, and to increase this network for mothers to connect, we've decided to host these sharing circles every 3 months. So please follow my Instagram or even Bumpwise as well to find out more of when these events will be taking place next. And then we have, we're going to be launching the Bumpwise Loss Group as well, which I'll let Johanna explain a little bit more about.
Yeah, so if you're not familiar with Bumpwise, we have grown into a community of 1,500 parents now, and we have dedicated WhatsApp groups for pregnant moms. We have one that is for people who are trying to conceive. We have a group for babies 0 to 12, and then actually all the way up to 10 years old. And we have a daddies group as well. So this is an ever-growing community. And I just want to say these WhatsApp groups, they are not intended in any way, shape, or form to sell services. This is not what Bumpwise is about. We are introducing many practitioners who are offering their services for free. Lana, maybe stop sharing. Yeah, perfect. So they're offering their services for free. They are not being paid. And the Bumpwise WhatsApp groups are really very much about peer-to-peer support, but they are obviously adminned by professionals as well and by fellow moms to make sure that everybody stays safe in the group, that everybody is being respectful towards the other participants and so on. But it is not, you're not going to be spammed with, information or selling or anything like that. This is not what WhatsApp is about. What Bumpwise is about. So I encourage you, if you're listening to this at a later stage, to reach out to us either via email or on our Instagram or however you would like to reach out, and we'll put the contacts as well on the bottom. We'd love for you to become a part of the community and find some solace and fellowship, companionship, and so on in the WhatsApp groups, and see that you're not alone out there. There are other moms going through this same thing, other parents going through this own thing. Although I do have to say at this stage that we are actually keeping the group to mothers. We are, it's a female only, except for the daddies group, obviously female only, because we find that this feels like a more safe and secure space for our moms, just so you know that as well. But if you have any questions at all, please reach out. And there's obviously also no cost associated whatsoever. So all our coffee mornings are free of charge. The practitioners give their time free of charge as well. And we just want to provide this as a resource for all of you, because I think it's a much needed thing here in Singapore. So
Johanna, I just wanted to touch one more thing on the sharing circle. I know, like what Linda had said as well, this is really an opportunity for people. I know coaching and counseling, as we've mentioned, is quite expensive. Sorry, my voice is going. But yeah, it's really an opportunity to understand more about coaching. And again, it's a free of charge event. So, and it's a way to connect with other women. So I would definitely encourage that for those of you who are interested to learn more.
Yeah, amazing. Thank you so much. Thank you for the mummies on the call. I know some of you had to pop off, but that's okay as well. I'm really happy that you made it here this morning. And I'm so thankful again to Linda and Lana for sharing their experiences, talking about their modalities of counseling and coaching. And I hope that it was a very useful call and a very useful video that people will watch for years to come, hopefully. So thank you so much. And I wish you all a lovely day. And I'll hopefully see you soon on one of our coffee mornings. Bye, everyone.